There's this idea that self-awareness is all about knowing your triggers, knowing more about yourself and what happens when you get triggered. But in essence, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And let me tell you something, this notion of self-awareness is keeping you stuck. What is true self-awareness? In this video, I want to make you understand what true self-awareness is, why is this notion keeping you stuck, and how you can unlock new levels of self-awareness so you can transform yourself into the trader you want to become for 2025. Without self-awareness, there's no change, so let's boost yours. Self-awareness is mainly made of three interconnected aspects. The first one being self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is a trader that says, I know that my biggest trigger is a missed trade, let's imagine. And I've actually shared a past tool to raise your awareness, to raise your self-knowledge in a previous post, and I will leave the link in the description below. It's called the Emotional Temperature Scale. Now, this is not only it. The second element is conscious awareness. And this differs from self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is knowing what needs fixed, while conscious awareness is knowing when and how exactly you get triggered. Feeling that the moment it happens. Feeling the emotions that follow it, feeling thoughts, the self-talk, and then the behavior. But most of all, being aware of these early signs so you can avoid the mistake or the behavior. Now, there's a third component to self-awareness, and that's the most critical one. Without this one, which is the one that most traders miss, and that's why they keep on repeating the same mistakes, self-awareness is pointless. So this one comes down to self-acceptance. That's right, self-acceptance or self-compassion. And we are told that we only can change what we accept, but I think this advice is pretty superficial. We think that, okay, just by recognizing what we need to change, we can change the thing. In fact, acceptance is way more than what it seems to be. So following our previous logic, knowledge about yourself would be something like, I know my biggest trigger is a missed trade. Conscious awareness is, I know my biggest trigger is a missed trade, and I can feel myself trigger when it happens. The thoughts that follow it, and then the emotions, and I can recognize those in real time. Now, self-acceptance is the highest degree of self-awareness, and that would look something like this. I know my biggest trigger is a missed trade. I also recognize myself at the moment it happens, and I know that the thoughts and emotions that follow it are normal, are part of my problem pattern, and I validate them. It doesn't mean they are part of myself, but they exist and they must be acknowledged. And if we were to position these three elements in a pyramid, we would have self-knowledge as the basis, then conscious awareness as the second slice, and finally on top of the pyramid, we would have self-acceptance. Because without the self-knowledge and the conscious awareness, how can you truly accept yourself? It's really difficult. But without this top of the cake, the self-acceptance, you don't have full self-awareness. And this is what happens to many traders. They know what happens, they know their problems, they know what needs fixed, but they don't accept themselves. And because they don't give themselves space for allowance and self-compassion to validate their emotions, they cannot pass to the next stage of development of the trader. So just to illustrate for you this better, let's take Joseph as an example. Joseph is highly aware of his triggers. After 2 losses in a row, he can feel his body tensing and his mind racing with anger. In high school, Joseph used to snap at classmates when they disagreed with him. On the charts, he recognizes these signs and wisely steps back from trading when he feels that familiar urge of emotion. But here's where Joseph struggles. While his interruption works in the moment, he doesn't know how to reframe his perspective. Instead of managing and processing the anger, he suppresses it, carrying it into the next trading session. That's when Joseph's emotions spill over and he enters an impulsive trade right at market open. And this is what happens with the traders that I'm in touch with. When there's no self-acceptance, they tend to accumulate emotions at a level that they don't just disappear. they stay stuck in the body because they didn't let go of them. So what happens is that they will carry on these emotions for the next trading session until they get a chance, which is a trigger, right, that brings back that anger or those repressed emotions, and that's when they get uncontrolled and when they utilize that anger in the wrong ways. And let me just make this clear for you. It's important that you understand that self-acceptance is not about seeing your emotions as a part of you, known as cognitive fusion. For the ones who don't know this, I wrote a post about cognitive fusion and diffusion, which is that psychological distance that you need. I will leave the link below in the description, but it's not about that. Self-acceptance is understanding what's going on inside your mind and acknowledging it, but acknowledging it with a distance. Understanding that's part of you, but it's there to protect you. But hey, you don't need it. You can tell that part of yourself that you are okay just the way you are, and there's fear, but you have the tools to defend yourself. So how can you work on this self-acceptance? It's easy to know yourself. It's easy to know more about your problem patterns and your strengths and whatnot, but how can you complete the top of the cake, the pyramid, the self-acceptance? So here are 2 techniques that I want you to work on for the next days. The first one is allow your emotions to flow. It's not because you repress something or you talk yourself out of an emotional state that it will disappear. It will stay stuck in your body. So the best way to accept yourself and to process that emotion and also validate it is doing something very simple. It's more than proven then that manual journaling helps you do this. It's so simple, yet just a few traders do this. When you are triggered, instead of coping with that autopilot repressing mechanism that you've been utilizing, choose to direct your attention to your journal and try to articulate what you're feeling. At first, I assure you, it will be difficult, it doesn't come natural, it's difficult to articulate yourself, to get those thoughts on the paper, but the more you practice, the more you will notice a difference in your self-acceptance and in your response to your triggers in the market. And the second one involves other people. So natural repressors, they are very good at hiding their feelings and keeping things for themselves and also saying no. So the next time you feel upset about someone or what someone told you, choose to change your response. And I know that this is difficult to do. I know many times that you cannot do this in the exact time it happens and you go home, you ruminate about it, you overthink it. So what I want you to do is don't be too hard on yourself. Maybe you will not be capable to express your feelings the moment someone tells you something you dislike, but when you go home, make the move, make it a point to send a message to this person, to tell this person, express how you feel. And by the way, this has nothing to do with your relationship with a person. It also has, but it's more of this selfish, if you will, approach, of this self-acceptance approach that you need for yourself, for you to be in peace with yourself, for you to release yourself of bad emotion or negative emotion. So I would like you to try this for yourself, and you will notice a big difference in your well-being, and obviously this will be reflected on the way you handle threatful situations in the market. How will you start to develop your self-acceptance skills to boost your self-awareness? Leave in the comments below. I'm interested in knowing your thoughts. Peaceful trading, Sarah. If you're interested in becoming the best trader version of yourself for 2025 and improving skills like self-awareness, self-acceptance, emotional regulation, and also getting accountability, subscribe to this channel. And my promise is that I will hear your feedback, I will adapt the videos to your requests, and let's make 2025 the best year of trading for you.